going on at the very moment. We have Dawido versus Blackout. Both of the guys are 5-0 at the moment, so this is the winner of this is going to have 6-0. I leave you with Subtle and Lothar to continue casting. Have fun, guys.
Thank you, Nims. Blackout 5-0, that's a new thing.
Lewis Blackout Spencer, 5-0 in a Swiss. Wow. I mean, you know...
Is he complaining on Twitter anyway?
Yeah, from what I've seen, only about the heat. That's the only thing he's found to complain about.
Well, I can understand that.
I mean, this was a pretty solid turn to join the game.
What happened?
A Yog is happening.
And there's a commanding shout in play as well,
with
so that we're not going to... Oh my...
What's it? And Consecrate, and Blackout is trying his hardest not to burst out laughing.
Did he just lose?
That is hilarious.
Did he just lose?
I mean... Sure. There is spell damage swipe, but it's not
and 2 secrets, look at that. Oh my god, Yog into Yog. Okay, Sacred Trial doesn't play like, you know, the other way around.
Whiff, there you go. That'll do it.
Oh, that's it? Well, that's kind of underwhelming.
That was ever so slightly disappointing.
Okay, but so what are the traps? Bear Trap and Sacred. So both of the players have Sacred Trial. Yes, and one could have had it in a double, but
no, it was 2 competitives, right? That got cast.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, 2 competitives. Yeah.
So Blackout actually knows that one of those is competitive spirit, because from the other side, when the second secret gets cast by Yog, it actually reveals it to the other player. So he knows that is something and competitive spirit.
So it's 2-1 for Blackout in this game, actually.
It is. And oh wow, that looks like that was actually Dawido's that had the really sick Yog.
Yeah.
It initially looked like it was Blackout that had the really sick Yog.
Did it?
I think so. Maybe it was just Blackout's reaction that he was laughing that made me think that. Maybe not, I don't know.
By the way, there was an armored horse. I guess that's from a mulch?
From a mulch, more than likely. Possibly like Fandral Raven Idol, where he got a minion as well. Something like that.
Oh, wow. He was actually not checking for a defender from the secret, from the Paladin secret, and he didn't check for Eye for an Eye as well.
True. I mean, like I say, he knows one of them is competitive spirit, but the other one is still open to be anything.
Interesting. So there's a lot of options that can be played this turn.
Just going to drop the Maya Keeper for stats, though. Yeah, I definitely saw it again. Oh, you broke me. Cannot unsee now.
Yeah, literally unplayable.
Raven Idol being played very quickly from the top by Blackout.
And we're back.
Something pretty miraculous. But yeah, looks like the playing the card too quickly has broken the spectator mode here. But Blackout has got to have to
find someone from the other table is helping him. Did you see that?
Just the arrow comes in from the assist from some guy behind the curtain. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, good old spectator bugs.
We'll see what will happen in a few seconds. Here we go. A swipe was played with a Moonfire. So Moonfire was being picked up from the Raven Idol. So with an Azure, that's actually a decent card. It's like a backstab that doesn't have a drawback.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. But there you go. He has found the ball clear. So now suddenly he's threatening 12 damage himself. And Dawido does not have the answers. Going to play Novice Engineer to cycle. Both of these cycle for 2 mana, that and the Wild Growth. So he might as well lead with the one that gets him a 1-1. And now follow it up with the Wild Growth potentially. He's just trying to dig for potential lethal here, right?
I guess so.
He knows his deck. He knows the reminder, like how this game's played out. We obviously didn't see any turns up until it was just Yog into Yog. So we have no idea what, how stacked the remainder of the deck is with damage. But he decided to dig there.
Too bad for Blackout that he already used the Yog, or he had it in his hand.
Yeah.
Because the Armored Warhorse would actually be kind of playable with the Yog still in deck.
That's true. He's going to cycle here, which means if he can pick up Mulch, if he has another one in his deck, or possibly his first one.
Well, he still has a chance to use Nourish for it, right? This is the thing, like, we don't know what was happening during the game, so it's kind of...
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of hard to predict what will be the best options here.
Right.
If there's, like, double Mulches in this deck, I would definitely go for the Nourish. But otherwise, it's kind of like a tricky situation, but you're at 5 HP, so what are your options, right?
It's true. I mean, you do have a clear for the 5/10 just with the 8/6 and the Living Roots, so you're not necessarily going to die. You can just redevelop the board with your minions.
So then you play Fandral and the Living Roots just to build up also the 1/1s because you saw a swipe? Or was it the other one?
Sure.
Other way around? Oh, I'm not sure.
It was Blackout cast the swipe on the previous turn. Because he has the Drake in
so the
play.
Armored Warhorse has actually the charge.
Yes. So now Living Roots goes through and he trades and he has Power of the Wild if he wants it, but probably just going to trade, push the 5 to face. He might as well, might also be scared of Bear Trap, which it actually is. So yeah, he actually chooses just to pass up the attack to not...
Did he do that on purpose? I'm not sure.
I think it's very possible because there was a lot of traps he hadn't tested for that turn, which was another thing that he was probably trying to factor in that we didn't talk about during his turn, was like, obviously we have caster vision and know what the trap is, but he was considering all the various options.
Yeah, but sometimes the caster vision is actually like, you know, obstructing you the view.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. There's a multitude of options for Dawido. Fandral for 3 mana, sick option always, especially with the Keeper and the Power of the Wild.
Oh my. Got him. I was going to say he drew that swipe 1 turn too late. Now this explains why he was digging so heavily on the previous turn. If he still had 2 swipes left in his deck, either of which were lethal, then the dig makes perfect sense. So he was unlucky in the sense that the swipe came 1 card too late, but then made up for it by picking up the second swipe. So.
Okay, now we'll have a fresh game, which will be between Shaman and the Druid.
Yes, indeed.
I have no clue which Shaman is Blackout playing.
It'll be face shot.
It will be face shot, you sure? Okay.
I would bet money on it.
Oh, we'll have to see, but okay. I'm believing your fellow country men.
Yes, my fellow non-EU citizen.
Well, you're still in the EU, man. It's like...
Just let me meme. Come on.
I actually read today that someone said it from the politicians that it actually doesn't mean we want to leave EU.
Yeah, there has been an awful lot of backtracking from all involved, but let's not turn this into a UK politics stream. Let's talk about this massively important matchup. 2 games to 2. These players are in the position of being 5-0, so going to 6-0 here. You don't want to think like this as a player, but being 6-0 after the first 6 games almost gives you that little bit of wiggle room, right? Like you have a bit of a buffer. You don't want to fall into that mentality, but somewhere in the back of your mind, you will just have that little voice that's telling yourself, like, okay, just get to 6-0, and like we're so nicely positioned at that point.
Exactly. What you have also is kind of like as I said, that wiggle room for the next day when you don't go to sleep so stressed, right?
Right.
You have some kind of like a failsafe that you can still lose a game or even 2 if you're 7-0, right? So it's still okay. You just will try to do your best on the next day and not stress out, right? Because you can be out of the tournament, but if you will prevail, then you're in the top 16 on one of the biggest tournaments ever, right?
Very true. And this is a slow start from Blackout, but does have the Doomhammer. Didn't really want to be picking up that second one, but Coin Argent Horse Rider is at least effective for right now, but he has really missed out on that explosive Shaman start he would have been looking for. No early board pressure, just a 2-1 essentially being developed on turn 3 in terms of pressure on the Druid.
So just a hero power, and next turn you can just use a Violet Teacher, innovate hero power again, I guess.
Is possible. I mean, right now, looking at Blackout's hand, we're going to see hero power pass a lot of the time. So.
Yep. That's kind of sad.
So if this is a 1-1 totem, the game probably ends. All right.
Good point. Oh, well, that's even better, because you can just play, instead of hero power, a Wild Growth.
The Violet Teacher, innovate Wild Growth. Yeah, I mean, the hero power does nothing. I mean, sure, if it was a 1-1, then maybe the hero power would have been better, but hero powering a 0-2 taunt totem for pretty much no reason.
Well, you basically have a Paladin hero power for this turn, right? Yes. Because of the Wild Growth. Sure. And you gain a mana crystal, right? Yeah. Do you see any other options? I don't think so, right? Just against the Shaman, the Violet Teacher is so valuable, right?
The only thing to consider is if you don't hero power that 0-2 next turn, it means... No, because you're going to have 2 1-1s.
Yeah, you have 2 1-1s. And you have 6 mana, man. Right, 6 mana for the next turn, so you can play Swipe and hero power to kill the 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that like you might just want to put it down to 1 to make sure that a 1-1 clears it up, but since you're getting the extra token out of it anyway, like you said, you're getting the Paladin hero power instead of the Druid hero power, which are supposed to be equivalent in power, so they're essentially going to do the same thing a lot of the time anyway. I like it. Let's do it.
Oh, wow, he didn't use anything.
Interesting.
Well, I didn't see that coming, to be honest.
I mean, this worries me. I mean, from Dawido's perspective, the way I'd be reading the game is, wow, my Shaman opponent's start has been really slow. He probably has a punchy hand with things like Lava Burst.
And 2 Doom Hammers or something like that.
Right,
I mean,
like,
maybe you
but
won't
Lava
read that,
Burst
right?
specifically, right? Like, I don't want to get my Violet Teacher just Lava Burst there without getting value out of it.
I'm really surprised by that, because now those 2 cards are kind of sitting there like kind of useless. You can turn that Wild Growth into something very useful, because you gain that one mana each single turn. So each turn you gain an advantage over the Shaman player, which is the aggressor, right?
Right.
So you can be more proactive than you would be normal the other way around, right? So the Innervate has, in most of the situations, we were talking about it like in some of the previous games.
Sure.
The Innervate is more useful after the Wild Growth, because you can ramp up even faster, right? But in this scenario, I feel when you play against faster decks, it's just important to have it just as soon as possible. And those 2 1/1s were actually getting you more friction than you give them credit for.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It might be possible that, like, Dawido hasn't quite done his homework. Like, at this point in the tournament, you're kind of expected to, like, be able to get some information about what your opponent's been playing by, like, talking to previous opponents, etc. But that's more difficult to do than for you know, a lesser-known player than one of the big celebrities, because the big celebrity players know everyone, right? So they can easily get information. They have more people scouting for them. So it might be that Dawido just thinks Blackout was playing a slower Shaman list, and therefore like, he doesn't need the 2/1/1 tokens on the board. But I think, honestly, just based on reputation, Blackout's going to be playing aggro Shaman, and you saw a Horse Rider being used additionally. So,
that's kind of like a big big mark. I'm playing something really aggressive, right?
But it's just, you know, I'm trying to, like, get into the head of that play, but it honestly does make very little sense to me.
Especially now, when you're kind of sitting in a situation when you have 6 mana, and you would have to use the Nourish right now, I guess, because you need to get some minions. You're at a healthy 29, so you can still finish off that Flaming Totem with the Living Roots. But that Wild Growth and Innervate, their value is pretty low right now.
Yes, I would agree with that. Unless he picks up, you know, another power combo card, basically. If he picks up, you know, a Fandral or another Violet Teacher or something, then suddenly the Innervate looks pretty good again. But if that's the case, then we had one of those power combo cards in the first place when we chose not to use the Innervate. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And there you go, just Innervate being used to hero power his. Yeah.
Lesson learned, I would say.
I mean, we can't be results oriented, right? Just because it worked out better this time doesn't mean what we're saying is right. But it definitely did seem like a weird decision at the time. But I mean, let's try and move on. There hasn't really been too much else to talk about in this game yet, which is why we're harping on it a little bit. But home goal.
There's a situation here.
Yeah,
what
Think from Below number 2 going to come down.
Do you prefer the Think from Below rather than the Feral Spirits? Because your next turn will be most likely Doomhammer, right? So the Overload fits in that spot in the next turn, and you have 2 minions on board that are, let's say, more beneficial to another Flaming Totem, if you can top deck that.
Sure.
And then you can still play Think from Below in the next turn for even less mana.
Yeah.
You can top deck a Tusker Totemic, which can also generate a Flaming Totem, right, for your Feral Spirits, and then also benefit for the Think from Below, and can play both. But if you don't need the Thing from Below, then you have a Doomhammer, and because you have 2, I would say that you would like to play one as soon as possible.
Sure. I mean, I appreciate all of that, but I think I kind of agree with the play because of how much Dawido had to expend to deal with the first 5/5. He saw that's a validated Doomsayer. He saw, you know, Swipe, Living Roots, and Innervate hero power being used to clear the previous board. So it just kind of felt like that situation, like, okay, you clearly didn't enjoy that last 5/5 here. Now deal with another 5/5, and now
dealing
on
with
top of that,
0-7.
you need to deal 7 damage to this thing, or it is going to 7/7 you in the face next turn.
Oh, look at that. That's kind of awkward because you have Wild Growth that doesn't do anything this turn. If you want to feed it to the York for the next turn, unless you will get a second Innervate.
Ooh, there's the Harrison though.
Still, the Harrison is not really that impactful when there's a 7-7 staring at your face, even if you destroy the Doomhammer.
But it's important if the Yogg does the job of clearing the board.
That is true.
Yeah, if he can go Yogg, and then if there's a Doomhammer in response, or if there's already been a Doomhammer equipped by then he's going to take 4 to 8 damage from the Doomhammer and then be able to destroy it from the Harrison Jones, so that will potentially make a huge difference.
Oh, wow. I really don't like the Wildcrow of this turn, because that essentially says, I have a Yogg for next turn. There's no other thing that you can do with a Wildcrow on turn 9.
So now this is a free Doomhammer.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he will not overextend into this board state.
Good job to Blackout for recognizing it. He just drew another 7-7, which would be pretty tempting to have 2 7-7s on the board after you've just seen a mulch getting used. But obviously, the Yogg has been turned face up by that previous play, so he's going to play the thing that is less likely to be interacted with by Yogg, which is his weapon. So I like it.
And look at this. You are kind of excited about the Harrison Jones, right? But it's not really that impactful, because that Doomhammer will deal 8 damage anyway.
Yeah, but 8 is half of 16. I'd say reducing the damage by 50% is a pretty big deal.
Okay, but still, the damage is done.
Right.
And let's see what will happen from this Yogg first.
All right, well, 0-0 is still 0 last time I checked.
Hunter's Mark
he innovated. He can use his hero power, so there's the innovate. All right.
Shield Slam for 0.
Sure.
The innovate is actually pretty useful if you're not clearing the board.
There we go. That's already a board clear.
Wow.
So everything else now is irrelevant.
Oh, too bad.
There you go. Board cleared. Job done.
Too bad it doesn't have a charge.
Yeah. Got a little bit of heal out of it as well with the Holy Nova. So, yeah. I mean, now, this Harrison Jones is going to be the difference between, 15 health and a lot less than that. So,
yeah, but it's still a problem because there is a 7-7 on board, and even those 2 small 2-3 minions are kind of problematic for you, right?
Yeah, I agree. If there's a second mulch in the deck, though, then this could be a big deal. Drawing 4 cards here for it.
Let's see.
Savage Roar is not what he needs. I mean, it's pretty much exclusively mulch, right? Because he can't... Okay.
Well, he has a Raven Idol. That can be a lethal.
That is... that is sometimes mulch.
I mean, it can get you another Yogg.
Yes.
But you'll be dead if you don't get a mulch.
He does have the hero power to deal 2 to that 7-7 as well, but nothing in hand helps him. So yeah, he needs to look for hard removal here from the Raven Idol. Doesn't get it.
A bite. Seems like a bite is the card of choice. First of all, you have a Mark of Nature already. Oh wow. Well, that is interesting.
So he's just going to taunt up the Harrison. He's basically just going to try and play a taunt on every turn for the remainder of the game. So this turn he has the Harrison taunt. Next turn he has either another big taunt with the second Mark of Nature or the Ancient of War, and then the turn up. So he can just keep taunting perpetually for the foreseeable future now, which I guess is his line.
What is very interesting to see in this matchup is the fact that Druid has no access to heal anymore. Because he can only deal damage with hero power.
Yeah.
And the steady shot is actually now very impactful, even more impactful than before.
Yeah, the steady shot will get the job done almost single-handedly if he's given time to, but Blackout's going to consider his options here because he does have Shapeshift, which is a board control tool, and since he has second Doomhammer, it kind of does the same job already, so I don't mind the Druid pick here at all.
And it gives you actually life at the same time.
Yep. So yeah, just hero powers down the 5-1, jams through the 4 damage. I'm sure these are going face from the Feral Spirits. Does expose himself a tiny bit to Savage Roar, but it shouldn't make too big of a difference in this situation. He's just really valuing getting the damage through.
What are the options to clear this? There are not really that many. You can use the hero power to kill the 7-2. And Savage Roar actually to clear the 2 freeze.
Well, you could Savage Roar, Innovate Hero Power, or
yeah,
you
that's
could
what I'm
Mark of
saying.
Nature, Innovate Hero Power. Those are your 2 basic lines this turn.
I like the Savage Roar hero power more because your minion already has a taunt, and you would like to have a second taunt in the upcoming turn with a Fandral.
That's what I was saying the previous turn, right? So you can then play 3 back-to-back taunts instead of just the 2.
Did you bring some food?
Oh, Blackout, please stop playing so quickly.
That's a huge task to Tamic.
It is. Has he broken the spectator mode again? That's the question. We need to wait and see if he plays the second card.
It's kind of okay.
Yeah.
So 6 damage to the Ancient of War. It's still not enough to go through it, right? Because you have 6, 8, 10, and 11 damage. that problematic.
Yeah, not even close. Now, wait, Savage Roar. Savage Roar, the 2/1/1s are clean. He'd have to take out the
Hero
0/2
power,
with his face.
so that's 7 damage.
Yeah.
That's 7 damage with the
9.
face, right?
It's 9.
Why 9?
So 3
Oh,
damage,
you're right.
3
Yeah,
damage
yeah,
from
yeah,
Tree
you're
End, 3
correct,
damage
you're
from Tree
correct.
End, 2 damage from face, 7 from the Ancient of War, 2 from the Hero
Yes,
Power.
correct.
It's like he's going for it. I mean, what do you play on top of this, though, is my question. Like, what's the rest of his turn?
He still has 1 swipe in his deck, right?
No, didn't he have both in his opening hand? I thought, when he was making the teacher plays, I think he had double swipe in his hand then. When the much discussed Violet teacher play, I think he had 2 swipes back then. Sure. I might be wrong.
And still goes for it. I mean, he could have drawn the Wrath, right? So that's also
exactly.
an option.
This is what I was kind of leading to when I said what's the rest of his turn. It seemed like the rest of his turn was Azure Drake, in which case, of course, we Azure Drake first, just to be correct.
7 damage to the face.
Yeah,
Looks like a
get him.
play. Oh, that's not a good draw. And the Engine of War is at 8 HP.
Game.
Wow.
Just no way out.
Interesting. So let's rewind for a second. What if Blackout could have actually traded both of those wolf spirits into the Engine of War to save some health on his hero, right? Because he could have killed it with the lightning bolt this turn if he would have sacrificed both of those spirit wolves there.
Is that true?
Well, if he could have sacrificed the entire board into the Engine of War, so it would have been left on 3 HP.
Okay, but he also, so he used all his mana by developing the minions that he developed, so that also means he would have passed up development if he cast the lightning bolt, so,
Well, interesting game. I mean, it was really back and forth, right? So, I can't really tell when was the turn when someone was really ahead, right?
Right, it was just a really back and forth game.
Yeah, especially with that Violet teacher, right?
Yeah.
I wonder how it would went if that Violet teacher would actually spawn the 2/1/1s.
I mean, he won the game, so we get to ask him about it.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Definitely. Guys, so I'm here as well. Welcome back. That was a very interesting game. We haven't seen the opening of the match, but overall, I agree with you that the Druid versus the Shaman was really back and forth, and obviously like Yogg into Yogg. But Dawido is with us, so congratulations on the win. How are you doing now?
Thanks, man. I'm basically speechless. It's like, I mean, the last match I played on stream, it was like, my brain wasn't really working. I was like, I'm not sure what was happening to me. I was so hyped about...
So nervous just, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So first time on stream, right?
Yeah, first international event as well, so...
Well, you're doing fine, I would say, right?
I mean, I played basically a lot in my home country, like a lot of tournaments. I grind ladder basically a lot as well.
Sure. So I don't know if you're aware when we joined the game, because you guys were the backup game, but the very first 2 turns we saw were the Druid versus Druid, the Yogg into Yogg. Those were the first 2 turns we watched. So
I mean, you had a ridiculous Yogg with that Unleash the Hounds into, Commanding Shout, then Unleash the Hounds, right?
And
Wisps
Wisps
of the
as
old gods.
well, yeah.
Yes, I mean, I wasn't sure if I played well after the Yogg. I'm not sure even what I played. I think I fucked. I screwed up this game. But there were. I mean, I'm speechless basically.
So tell us more about yourself, because like you're one of the most recognized players in Poland. Like a lot of Polish guys, they know about you, they know you, and you tested with the Illuminar Honor Gaming guys, like you
Yes.
compared together. So are you running the same lineup as those guys, or do you have like any changes, like personal changes?
We are basically running the same lineup. We're like preparing 5 days, 12 hours straight, and we ended up with like going with the meta, which is pretty sad. But going against the meta is not worth it at the moment.
Yeah, this is something that we discussed like already like 5 times today during the cast. Yeah.
So, one quick question about the final game. Turn 4 was a long time ago, so if you don't remember it clearly, that's fine. But you chose to play Violet Teacher, just raw, and you could have played just Innovate Wild Growth to get the 2/1/1s. So what were you thinking that turn? Because Lothar and I talked about that pretty extensively.
Let me recognize really quick. I mean,
so it was Empty Board with just
yes.
Taunt Totem, and you just went Violet Teacher.
And I had Wild Grow, Innervate.
Innovate and Wild.
And what else in hand?
2 swipes
Nourish.
and Mulch.
Yeah, so I basically thought he was playing the thing from below to bait the mulch, and if I remember, maybe it was like another. No, it was versus Shaman.
Yes.
So I think I thought that I could just play the teacher and. No, he didn't play Thing from Below.
No, he didn't.
It was an empty board.
It was just empty. It was Taunt Totem and nothing else. That was all that was on the board.
Well,
Okay, so it was.
Yeah, if
if
you can
you-
remember, then
Yeah, like I
it's no
said,
worries, man.
Absolutely. Tell me about your tournament experience, because it's your first big tournament and you're 6-0 at the moment. So how are your games like? Are you enjoying it? Are you stressed like when you were playing off stream as well? Like how do you cope with that?
I mean, playing off stream was like pretty okay with me. I mean, I was pretty okay with playing off stream. I was really nervous playing on stream. I actually played in winter prelims, top 40 or something. Like the second day, I dropped out. Yeah, I'm almost qualified for the summer prelims as well.
Yeah, summer is the next one.
So I enjoyed the tournament a lot, and the arc needs to be nerfed.
It seems like
We can
a good-
agree with
I like
that,
this
right?
guy.
Yeah.
I like this guy. Yeah.
We can agree about that.
All right, guys. So any more questions for Dawido?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for
well,
having me.
Well played, man. So thank you so much for joining us. And guys, for you, we'll have, we need some more time to prepare the last round of the day. And when we're ready, we'll let you know. And we'll continue with some more Hearthstone. Stay tuned.